This is Joyce with the Pilkington Homestead. I have made an earlier video making hamburger buns, and this is the way they look. As you can see, I made big ones, and aren't they so beautiful? Well, now I want to make the hamburgers that goes with the hamburger buns, because buns are, obviously I could just eat it, put two together and make a sandwich and eat it just like that. And I'm not, lots of butter in the middle. I could do that, but my husband John prefers nice juicy hamburger in the middle, and I'm going to show you how I make a big juicy hamburger. The first thing I do is I start with taking butter and a little coconut oil in my skillet, and I'm going to add onions, and I'm going to cook these up. Then I am going to add my mushrooms when my onions are clear and looking good, then are done. Then I'm going to add the mushrooms and cook them briefly, because you don't want them too soggy. You want them soft and full of butter, but you don't want them where they're just real limp. So that's what I'm going to do. And when the onions are done and the mushrooms are cooked in them, then I'll be back and show you what my next step is. So I've been working with my onions and mushrooms, and this is the way they look. Absolutely perfect. So now I'm going to put them in a bowl to wait for the hamburgers. And they really smell delicious too. Okay, we're going to set this aside until we need it later. And now we're going to work on the hamburger meat. This is 1 pound of hamburger. If you were making more hamburgers, using like 2 pounds, then just double everything that I'm about to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm going to take 1 egg, mix it up. And this is a small egg too. If you're making 2 pounds, then use a medium to large egg. But this is a small. Then I am going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. And notice that I'm not mixing this as I go. I want to mix the hamburger meat just as little as possible so it will stay tender. If you mix your hamburger meat too much, it can make it tough. So I'm going to wait till the very end to mix it up. I'm going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. So that's onion and garlic. And I'm going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, if I can get it open. And then I have Worcestershire sauce, and I'm going to shake it and just kind of shake some in there. About that much. Now, I'm going to mix it just very carefully together because I don't want to get it too tough, but it needs to be mixed. And another thing is you don't want to compress it too much. When you go to make your patty, don't just really press it together. You want it to do it loosely so that it won't just like, well, compress. That's the word I'm looking for. You don't want to do that. Okay, so I have this mixed really well, but as little as possible. And this is what it looks like. So now that I have it mixed together, I'm going to just kind of mix it. I'm going to half it. See how I'm halving it? And I'm going to take 1/2 and mix it, make a patty. And when you make this patty, make sure that you make an indentation in it so it won't puff up, but it will kind of stay like that. Now I'm going to put that one in and make sure it's down. Now I'm going to do the same to the other. Make sure I have an indentation because I don't want it to puff. And it's probably going to puff some anyway, but I'm going to try to get it as least amount as I can. And when I put it in, I'm also going to kind of push the middle down. Now, I'm going to cook this like 3 minutes on one side, and then turn it over and cook it about 3 minutes on the other side. So after I flip it over, I'll come back. Well, I've got the hamburger. It's cooking. It's almost finished. And I have sliced my buns. So what I'm going to do with them now is I'm going to take butter and I am going to put the butter on the buns. This is going to make them so tasty. And after I do this, then I'm going to take there's my meat, it's ready. Okay, so since now the hamburger's ready, and I'm going to put chopped cheddar cheese, 1 piece on each. And I have Gouda, and I'm going to put 1 slice of Gouda on each. And then now I'm going to take the onions and the mushrooms that we had cooked earlier, and I'm going to set some on both of them. And then I'm just going to let them cook for just a minute. And I will be back in just a second. So now I have the hamburger meat on my bottom bun, and I have, of course, the cheese. I put them on there at the last minute so that they wouldn't completely melt and just run down into the grease. So I put them on there just where they will just do that good, just creamy melt, but no more. And then the onions and the mushrooms is on there. And if you're wondering why I put butter in my hamburger is because I always buy lean hamburger meat. And you want your hamburgers to be juicy. So this is just a tip from me to you. If you like to buy a lean hamburger and that's what you keep in your refrigerator all the time, just add a tablespoon or so of butter when you make your hamburgers, and it will add back in a little bit of that fat so it'll be juicy. So here they are, and John likes his with a little bit of Miracle Whip on his. So I'm gonna put that on there, and as you can tell with me making 4 buns, of course this is in my other video where instead of 8 I made 4. So the reason I did is because I was making big hamburgers, and it makes it just right for the hamburger. Okay, and this is what they look like.